Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today we're going to look at mainly loose complete figures and recent sales on eBay. I heard from a few of you that you'd like to see some recent sales prices for loose, ungraded last 17 figures. So most of this video is going to cover last 17. I do have some Droids figures, as you can see, a few loose graded, and a couple of other items that I wanted to touch on that sold on eBay. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing. Please be sure to leave me a like, as it does help out with the YouTube algorithms. All right, let's take a closer look. We're going to start off with the Star Wars mail-away collector's action display stand. So it's got the original mailer box, the instruction sheet, and then, of course, the stand itself, which has the stickers there and all that good stuff. So this is a budget-friendly item. This is not in perfect condition by any means, but I wanted to at least show you a low-end price for that, for those of you that like to get one of these and then display your first 12 figures. I see a lot of collectors on Facebook that like to do that, so this is kind of a budget-friendly example of that, but pretty cool. It did include the original mailer box, $385 in an auction plus shipping. Really mint examples can set you back double that number very easily. So this was just a budget-friendly example. This is just a Taiwan Luke Farm Boy. Obviously, it's got some yellowing to the arms and the legs. It's labeled near mint in the auction, probably at best a 75 plus, given the paint splatters on the arm and the slight pinkish hue to the arms and the white portion of the legs. But just wanted to show you some loose complete examples out there that sold. 74 bucks for him. And then we had another Luke. This one was a Hong Kong COO Luke Bespin, brown hair, and as almost every single brown-haired Luke Bespin has, the torso has discolored on this. I don't know why that is. It's just a certain type of plastic that was used for the Hong Kong brown-haired Luke Bespins, and they all turn this color to varying degrees, of course. But even inside the blister, I had one of these inside the blister on a 32 back or 41 back, I can't remember, and even inside the blister, it had started this degradation on the torso. So that one sold for 46 bucks, loose complete with both accessories. We had another Jawa Sandcrawler that was 100% complete and in working condition. It did have the elevator and the ladder, as you can see, along with the remote control. Pretty cool example, though. And man, what could have been, right, with the latest HasLab, a lot of people saw that sand that was teased and were thinking that it was going to be the Sandcrawler, but it seems like 2026 is going to be the year of Geonosis. And obviously the HasLab is the LAT gunship, which I also think is cool, as you can tell by my last TVC video. But this one is going to have to wait. I still think that this is going to have to get done. But somebody pointed out that if you look at like the Wikipedia for the Sandcrawler and the specs for it, it would be absolutely massive if they did it truly to scale relative to the 3 3/4 inch figures. It would be like massive, way bigger than the Ghost or anything else. So they probably would scale it down, I would think, if they ever made it. But it's just hard because I don't know if you would ever get someone to back one that was actually true to scale for the 3 3/4 inch figures, because the price point would be so prohibitive. But they could scale it down a little bit. I mean, we talked about that diorama that that 3D company in Sri Lanka is making and how big that is. And that one is like $2,000. So, it would be very tough to do a HasLab for probably less than $1,000. So until that time, at least we have this one. And then I think there was the original trilogy collection or whatever it was that they came out with a small scale Sandcrawler as well. This one did sell in an auction for $669. A couple of loose graded that sold first. The Muffin Man had a no COO Princess Leia Bespin. She's kind of known for a wider face. There's, obviously the Hong Kong that has a couple of face sculpts, but the no COO, at least this one, and then the one that I had at one point, it was just a little bit wider face. You can see it in the face. But this one was a UKG 85%, no COO, figure 90 paint 85, cape 85. That one sold in an auction for 156 US dollars. Pretty good deal there for a little tougher to find COO for Leia Bespin. Here is that Spanish red armor, Spanish PvP Forlom. And it did sell. I had this one in a what to buy on eBay video a couple of weeks back. And you can see there, made in Hong Kong COO. But this is the Spanish PvP red armor, UKG 80%. The first thing I always look at for the Spanish PvPs is the back of the robe around the neck. There's almost always a tear on that. I don't know why that is, but almost always with the Spanish PvP red armored Forlom, it has a tear on the back. This one looked like it's pretty clean, although the photo is kind of hard to tell. The eyes on this one did have, you know, some paint scratches, which is another common thing that you see for the Spanish PvP. The silver paint on the eyes for the Forlom, it rubs off super easy. It's really, really easy to rub that off. But this one still got the 80%. I would argue that's probably about right. You know, the paint apps on any Spanish figure are known to be somewhat sloppy, and you know, there's other defects that were known for that Spanish PvP factory. But that one did sell in a buy it now for 550 euros, which is 644 US dollars. I think I sold my CAS 85 plus Spanish PvP Forlom for around $850 or $900, somewhere in that ballpark. So that is probably a fair price for a UKG 80%. One other graded example, this one was in an auction. This was an AFA 80 old K-style yak face that sold for $730. $730. You can see a little bit of discoloration or color difference on the chest, you know, in terms of the shirt versus the arms. Again, another common defect for yak face, but old K-style 730, big number for an AFA 80. And then we have some other last 17 figures. These are all loose complete. This Luke Stormtrooper it included the incorrect coin. So you can see there, that's the Luke Endor coin, Battle Poncho coin. But, and you can also see that he's got a color rub of weird blue rub on the leg. So that, you know, it's still sold for $406. And then we had this one that you could maybe make an argument was in better condition. Again, I'm assuming that that's the correct black Imperial Blaster, but he included the correct coin that you can see there. It's got the Stormtrooper armor coin versus the Endor Luke coin on the speeder bike. But this one, you know, again, not perfect. It looks like it maybe has a little bit of hair rub. I can't tell if that's reflections or not, but it looks like maybe some hair rub on him. But that one sold in an auction for $345. So $345 and $406 gives you a tight price range to aim for a loose, ungraded, complete Luke Stormtrooper. Another loose, complete figure, we got Yak Face. This one was in super nice condition from what I can tell. A little tough because of the flash. You could make an argument that it probably has some color discoloration on the chest there, or, you know, on the shirt. But the feet look pretty clean on them, and the hands look pretty clean. That one sold for $700, which, again, you know, relative to the AFA 80 that sold for $730. So no matter whether they're graded or ungraded, Yak Face, it continues over here anyway in the US to command big numbers. It's pretty amazing the price difference between over here and in the UK and Europe, where the price point is a lot less based on sales that I've seen anyway. But that just shows you the difference in geography there. Same seller also had a pop-up lightsaber R2-D2. This one also included the coin and sold for $600, probably in about 80 grade condition based on my rough estimate. You know, just looking at it, obviously had some color discoloration to the sticker, but they all do these days. About a pretty clean example, really. I mean, that's a pretty nice looking example of the R2 pop-up lightsaber for $600 on one bid. Barada is always one of the cheaper ones. This also included the coin. I always look at the backpack to see what kind of shape that is in. It looks pretty good there. Pretty clean example for Barada, and that one sold for $115. We got my doppelganger here. I mean, I don't know which one's my doppelganger. You guys can decide. Imperial Dignitary is probably, you know, with my sunken cheeks and my sagginess and the lines that are starting to form as I age, I tend to identify more with the Imperial Dignitary, but Lobot, obviously, he has my same hairstyle. And then you have the Rancor Keeper, which, you know, I think I'm a little better shape than the Rancor Keeper, but not by much. So there's three different figures that could really pass for me. Lately, these days, it's probably a hybrid between Lobot and the Imperial Dignitary, but he's got that same kind of greenish skin. You know, when I haven't been in the sun, lately I've been in the sun, so I got a nice tan, but for the most part, I tend to identify with him during the winter. $132.50 for an ungraded Imperial Dignitary. That one also did include the coin. We got the Imperial Gunner with the correct weapon and his coin. That one sold for $270. Pretty decent deal there. The figure was in really good shape overall, from what I can tell. The shoulder emblems were complete and no real major issues. The belt looks like it had a couple little rubs, but nothing major. Probably an 80 grade condition, 80 plus. $270, pretty decent deal there, including the coin. We had the A-Wing pilot. That one sold for $280. Pretty healthy price. We've certainly seen higher prices lately for loose, complete A-Wings, and he did some nice close-ups showing that the hands had no rubs to it. Chest apparatus looked pretty decent. It looks like it had a little rub on the left-hand side of the silver chest paint there. But $280 is not a bad deal. And then here's the Luke Endor with his correct coin, and also did have the correct Black Palace blaster from what I can tell there. Yep. And that one looks like it also had the utility belt. It's a little tough to see there. There it is. That's a good close-up. Hands were in great shape. So that's a nice figure there. And that one sold for $290 as well. We've got Han Solo Carbonite. That's another figure where very similar to the Yak Face, where the shirt can turn kind of a yellowish color, but this one looked to be super clean, really, really nice condition, and $245 is very fair. You know, AFA 85s are like $300, $325, somewhere in that ballpark, so very nice looking figure though, from what I can tell. EV99, another clean looking example. This one looks like it maybe had a little paint rub there on the left-hand hip. That one sold for $335, including the coin again. No breaks to the arms, which are very fragile, very, very fragile figure. And Anakin Skywalker, including the coin, which, you know, obviously the Power of the Force Anakin is one of the more desirable ones. The coin looked to be pretty rough, though. If you look at the close-ups, you can see the coin itself was in pretty rough shape. But that is the main reason why this one sold for $330, because the coin is where the value's at, right? The Anakin Skywalker figure itself is very easy to find because of the mail-away, and, you know, his appearance, you know, is very, very plentifully produced, but the coin is not, right? The coin is a little tougher to get. So $330 was mainly because of that coin. A Monoman, another one that, you know, the prices have been all over the map lately for a Monoman. I've seen some go above $300. This one looked to be pretty clean from what I can tell. So all of these were kind of near mint minus to near mint condition. Again, including the coin, $274 in an auction. Lando General, and this one looked to be pretty nice. The cape maybe had a little bit of fraying going on, but otherwise pretty clean looking figure, and maybe some light rubs on the feet there that you can see, but also some hair rub. So those are the two most common spots for General Lando to get some defects, would be the black boots, and then you know, occasionally you'll see some scratches on the chests. It's a figure that really shows like every little scratch. And then the hair. So that one sold for $275, including the coin. And then on to some droids figures. So there were two different R2-D2 droids pop-up lightsabers that sold. This one sold in an auction, included the coin, included the saber, but no coin. And you can see the sticker was in pretty clean condition. $525 on 21 bids for that one. And then this one, you know, the photos were like brightened. You can tell that they kind of brightened the photos to try and hide the fact that the sticker was starting to yellow pretty heavily. It did include the coin though, but it still sold for less than the other one that did not have the coin because the sticker was in better shape. So don't fall for these little tricks where they try to brighten the photos to hide the fact that the sticker itself has started to yellow. This one very clearly is much more yellow than this one, in my opinion. But anyway, that one still sold for $455. the Droids C-3PO. I've always loved this figure. I'd never picked that one up when I was still kind of adding to my collection. I don't know what it is about this color scheme, but I've always just really admired this figure, and I just never picked one up. So that one did sell for $500. And then finally, we've got the Wicket W. Warwick from the Ewoks cartoon. Obviously a very pricey figure, whether it's mint on card or loose complete like this with the spear and the coin. I don't know why this one is so expensive, although it is a Lily Letty figure. This one and the Logray from the Ewoks line were made in the Lily Letty factory. This one did have some nose rub, as you can see there, so it was not perfect, but still sold for $330, which is not terribly surprising, just given how desirable this figure is among collectors. It remains a very popular figure among collectors. So that is all I really had. For those of you that were looking for some loose complete last 17, hopefully these price points will help you on your search. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.